This is the silent war that defines our world. Not a war of bullets and bombs, but a war of growth, of development, of prosperity. Every single day, nations are engaged in a relentless competition, and the trophy is economic supremacy. Some countries surge forward, their people lifted into better lives, their influence on the global stage expanding. Others falter, fall behind, and watch as their potential evaporates. But why? What is the secret formula? Is it luck? Is it geography? Is it the sheer force of will? The answer is both simpler and infinitely more complex than that. Economic growth is not a mystery. It is not magic. It is the result of specific, identifiable, and powerful forces. It is a machine built on 5 fundamental pillars. Tonight, we will dismantle this machine, piece by piece, to understand what makes an economy not just function, but flourish. This is the story of the factors that build our world. Our journey begins with the most valuable resource on the planet. It is not oil. It is not gold. It is not buried deep within the earth. It walks on 2 legs, it thinks. It creates, it innovates. The first and most crucial pillar of economic growth is human capital. A nation's people are its ultimate engine. But this engine requires fuel and fine-tuning. That fuel is education. That fine-tuning is health. Imagine 2 countries. Country A has a population where the vast majority are literate, numerate, and possess specialized skills in engineering, medicine, and computer science. Country B has a population plagued by illiteracy, malnutrition, and preventable diseases. The outcome is not a matter of opinion. It is a matter of economic inevitability. Country A will outpace, out-innovate, and outproduce Country B every single time. The link between education and economic growth is one of the most robust findings in all of economics. An educated workforce is a productive workforce. They can operate complex machinery, understand technical manuals, manage sophisticated logistics, and, most importantly, adapt to new technologies. When a new piece of software is released, an educated workforce can learn it in days. When a new manufacturing process is invented, they can implement it with efficiency. Education is the great multiplier of human potential. But education alone is not enough. A brilliant mind trapped in a sickly body is a tragedy and an economic waste. This is why health is the twin pillar of human capital. A healthy population works more, learns more, and contributes more. They are not burdening the healthcare system, they are building the economic system. Child mortality rates, life expectancy, and nutritional levels are not just social indicators, they are leading economic indicators. A nation that invests in the health and education of its people is not spending money, it is making the most important investment possible. It is building its own future, one mind and one body at a time. The quality of a nation's human capital determines the height of its economic ceiling. Yet even the most skilled and healthy worker cannot produce anything with bare hands. They need tools, they need infrastructure. This brings us to the second pillar, physical capital and infrastructure. This is the skeleton of an economy. The roads, the bridges, the ports, the power grids, the factories, and the machinery that facilitate production. Think of a brilliant software developer in a city with frequent power outages and slow, unreliable internet. Their potential is crippled. Think of a farmer with the most fertile land in the world, but no roads to get their produce to market. Their harvest will rot. Physical capital is what turns potential into reality. Investment in infrastructure is a catalyst that unleashes the productivity of human capital. A modern highway system reduces transportation costs and time, connecting producers to consumers and suppliers to manufacturers. A reliable energy grid ensures that factories can run 24 hours a day, that hospitals can function, that homes can be lit. High-speed internet is no longer a luxury. It is the central nervous system of the modern global economy, enabling everything from remote work to international finance. The accumulation of physical capital is a slow, expensive process, but its returns are monumental. It creates a virtuous cycle. Better infrastructure leads to higher productivity, which leads to higher profits, which leads to more tax revenue, which can be reinvested into even better infrastructure. Nations that neglect this pillar are essentially trying to win a Formula One race with a horse and cart. They might have the best jockey, but they will never ever cross the finish line first. But what happens when you have skilled workers and powerful machinery? You can produce things, but what do you produce, and how do you produce it? The answer to this question is the third pillar, the great game changer. Technology and innovation. This is the brain of the economic organism. While human capital is the quality of the brain itself, technology is the groundbreaking ideas that brain produces. Technological advancement is the primary driver of long-term sustainable growth. It is the difference between producing 1 car per day with a team of craftsmen and producing 1 car per minute with an automated assembly line. It is the difference between sending a letter that takes weeks to arrive and sending an email that arrives in seconds. Innovation allows us to do more with less. It increases what economists call total factor productivity, the portion of growth that cannot be explained by increases in labor or capital. It is the magic ingredient. It is the reason why the standard of living today is unrecognizable from that of a century ago. The countries that lead the world in economic growth are almost invariably the countries that lead the world in research and development. They invest heavily in universities, in corporate R&D labs, in protecting intellectual property. They create ecosystems that encourage experimentation, tolerate failure, and reward success. The development of the semiconductor, the internet, artificial intelligence, and biotechnology, these were not minor improvements. They were seismic shifts that created entirely new industries and demolished old ones. A nation that merely uses technology as a consumer. A nation that creates technology as a leader. In the race for economic supremacy, innovation is the ultimate turbo boost. Our first three pillars are powerful, but they do not exist in a vacuum. They operate within a framework, a set of rules and systems. This is the fourth pillar, institutions and governance. This is the operating system of an economy. It is the least visible, but perhaps the most determinative factor of all. What are institutions? They are the formal and informal rules of the game. They include the government, the legal system, property rights, and the level of corruption. Strong, stable, and inclusive institutions are the bedrock upon which growth is built. Imagine you are an entrepreneur with a brilliant idea. You have the human capital, you have access to physical capital, and your idea is technologically innovative. But you operate in a country where the rule of law is weak, where contracts are not enforced, where your property can be seized by the state on a whim, and where you have to pay endless bribes to bureaucrats just to get a business license. Would you invest your life savings? Would you take the risk? The answer is almost certainly no. This is why some resource-rich nations remain poor, while resource-poor nations become wealthy. The difference is in the quality of their institutions. Secure property rights give people the confidence to invest and improve their land and businesses. An independent and efficient judiciary ensures that disputes are resolved fairly and contracts are honored. A government free of rampant corruption ensures that public resources are used for the public good, building schools and hospitals instead of lining the pockets of officials. Political stability gives businesses the confidence to make long-term plans. When institutions are weak, the other pillars crumble. Education is corrupted, infrastructure projects are siphoned off, and innovation is stifled. Good governance is the glue that holds the entire economic machine together. Finally, we come to the fifth pillar, one that is often misunderstood: natural resources. It is tempting to think that a country blessed with abundant oil, diamonds, or fertile land is guaranteed wealth. History, however, tells a different, more cautionary tale. This is the phenomenon known as the resource curse. Natural resources are a potential blessing, but they can easily become a curse if not managed correctly within a strong institutional framework. The problem is twofold. First, an over-reliance on a single resource can lead to Dutch disease, where the resource sector booms, driving up the value of the currency and making all other exports like manufactured goods and agricultural products uncompetitive on the global market. This kills diversification and leaves the economy dangerously vulnerable to price swings in that one commodity. Second, resource wealth can lead to corruption, conflict, and weak institutions, as various groups fight for control of the windfall. The key, therefore, is not the mere presence of resources, but their prudent management. Countries like Norway have used their oil wealth to create a massive sovereign wealth fund that benefits future generations. Others have squandered their riches, leaving their people in poverty. Natural resources can provide a tremendous kickstart to development, funding investments, and the other four pillars. But without the other pillars, particularly strong institutions, they are just rocks in the ground or a ticking time bomb. These five pillars do not stand in isolation. They are deeply, inextricably interconnected. Technological innovation is born from educated human capital. Physical infrastructure enables the diffusion of that technology. Strong institutions protect the intellectual property of innovators and ensure that infrastructure is built efficiently. Natural resource revenue, if managed well, can fund the education and health of the population. It is a symbiotic, self-reinforcing system. When all five are strong and working in harmony, they create a virtuous cycle of growth that can lift a nation for generations. When one or more are weak, they create a vicious cycle of poverty and stagnation. The story of economic growth is the story of how nations choose to build, maintain, and strengthen these five pillars. It is a choice. It is a challenge. And it is the most important task any society can undertake. The blueprint for prosperity is now in your hands. The question is, what will we build with it?